Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter, New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneider, joined as always my co-host Nick Filato, and we just spent 5 minutes commiserating to ourselves about how unlucky and annoying fantasy football is. Talk that we won't bring to the podcast to bore you with, but instead today, and I don't even know if I should have, Nick, but I did wear I love this Giant shirt. This thing was like so expensive online and so worth the money. I'm going to try to buy a few more in different colors if I hit the lotto or something.
You
But
like wearing a shirt that just advertises shit? That's kind of crazy.
That just advertise. I don't get that one.
It's the Giants. They're shitty
Oh,
right
the
now.
Giants are shit.
They smell bad. Look, the New York Giants are not shit historically. They're great. I absolutely love the New York Giants. No one questioned my fandom about the New York Giants. Love that team, but they are playing like shit.
No.
They are depressing, and they are hurting our bottom line right now on this podcast because people are not interested, rightfully so, because the product is so poor. But we're here to talk about the All-22 and the game review from a 35-14 beatdown at the hands of Lamar Jackson, who went off for 5 touchdowns, like 290-something yards, 297. Imagine playing him in fantasy football, Dan.
I did. I don't have to imagine it because I fucking did.
I know. We were just talking about it.
I know. We talked about it last night on the show. Things blend together at this stage of the year. And generally speaking, I don't need to go back over it, but it is crazy where we're at with this Giant season. I've never felt so down about this team. This is worse to me than any of the fallout from the Reese and any of that years. This to me, I think somebody did a poll, maybe Duggan, on that this morning. This is the worst it's ever been for me specifically. And I think part of that is just that there's so much we had so many games left to go when it fell out. And now we're just watching these games. So this one against the Ravens, which side do you want to start on? What's more interesting to talk about?
Yeah, let's start with the offensive side of the football, just because the fourth quarterback is saw the field for the New York Giants, right? It wasn't Daniel Jones. It wasn't Drew Lock. It wasn't Tommy DeVito, although Tommy DeVito did play in this game, left with a concussion, and we enjoyed second half TB12, Tim Boyle out there, dude. And I'm not going to lie, and I hate to say this, and I'm not saying this just because it's fun and we need to create content, but some of the throws that Tim Boyle made were not throws that we have consistently seen this season from any Giants quarterback. That does not mean Tim Boyle is better than Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, or even Tommy DeVito, but it was refreshing to see him rip far hash throws outside the numbers, allowing Malik Neighbors to drag his feet, getting even like his first pass, which was a completion to Daniel Bellinger in a flat. That's a sack with Tommy DeVito, I think. That's a sack with Drew Lock, but he was able to get the football out of his hands. And then you have, obviously, the cover 2 shot where he just trusted that underneath defender was going to sink on the underneath route because he saw the split safeties go into a cover 2 shell. So he just rips the football with it, massive amounts of anticipation to Malik Neighbors and allows Neighbors to catch the football and get down before the safety hits him. That's something we've criticized Daniel Jones for in the past. So that was refreshing to see. Now, is Tim Boyle going to be the long-term solution for the New York Giants? Obviously not. Is Tim Boyle better than any of those quarterbacks I just listed? Probably not. But you know what, man? At this juncture,
I don't know if he's necessarily not better than DeVito or Locke. They're terrible.
No, neither do I. I'm not. But my point is, I'm not insinuating that right now with this journeyman who has been on, I think, 7 teams at this point. But he was able to go into this football game and just make throws that we have not seen, which is more of a referendum on the Giants quarterback room than an ode or a tip of the cap to Tim Boyle. Although Tim Boyle, I kind of want to see him. I kind of want to see him start throughout
for what he is. He didn't get any reps with the first team. Just joined this team recently. Like everything going against him in a game where the defense isn't defending the run at that point. They're just teamed off. Like he outshined his coverage, I guess, or outkicked his coverage is the right term for it. I mean, even the touchdown to Neighbors, like free blitzer, and he just says, F it, let me throw this to a spot. That's anticipation right there. I mean, that's understanding, like, I don't have much time. I think I could get this ball to the pylon, and that's a good spot to put it into because Neighbors can run under it and make the play. That's throwing with anticipation. And I think the reason you feel this way, Nick, I was thinking about this because you mentioned this to me a few times before the show, and then you just brought it up here to start the show and stop the show. And we'll get into these plays in a second, but you may just be running them for those watching. I honestly think, Nick, the reason you feel this way is because of the contrast. I think a lot that's playing a factor for sure here. We've watched this team for 6 years have quarterback play that is inarguably, in my mind, without watching all 32 other teams, inarguably the least anticipation of any team in the NFL. Daniel Jones had some things that were good about him, I guess. I still don't know what they are. His supporters never really told me, and I've asked them to. But I guess you can, like, I'm not talking leadership and all that stuff, but like, I guess the dig route and whatever else they thought was good. But one thing that Daniel Jones really struggled with, and he was among the worst in the NFL, I think he was the worst among starting quarterbacks, was throwing with anticipation. Like, we didn't have many examples of him throwing with anticipation. You put together a cut up, Nick, that you put on Twitter of Tim Boyle's anticipatory throws in this game. That was more than I think I saw from almost any game from Daniel Jones. And that he didn't even play a full game, Boyle. He threw a half, and he's not a good quarterback, I don't think, outside of that, to be honest, Tim Boyle. I don't think he has good velocity. I don't think the ball placement was even that great on a lot of these throws. I don't think he's got athleticism, size, frame, really anything that I want in a quarterback. But that one trait was allowing him to make some of these plays that led to explosive gains in the passing game and led to first downs and 15, 20-yard chunk plays and ultimately a touchdown to Neighbors. So I think two things that I take away from your opening breakdown, Nick. The one and first being, it's been so long that we've seen anticipatory throwing in this offense that just a glimpse of it like this, a small glimpse of it, really shows how bad we had it with Jones and why it was a true and undeniable fact that he was not the answer for the Giants and won't be the answer for a team starting in the NFL. And two, more importantly, too, this is the trait we need from whoever the hell is next quarterback of the Giants. It's non-negotiable. It's our only shot for anything. And we got to try to figure out, and I think this is hard to do, you can correct me if I'm wrong, who that guy can be. I personally find it hard to see from the college tape. I think it kind of is an NFL thing, but there were some examples. You saw it with May.
The NFL is, the windows are just so much
exactly
tighter in the NFL.
And they're different, right?
See it, though, at the college. Like, we saw it with all those quarterbacks that we wanted last. We saw it with Jaden, we saw it with Drake May, and we saw it with Caleb Williams. So
the only windows I thought, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, the only actual, and I'm saying consistent, not like we saw it one play here, because this was like the whole Daniel Jones argument for 6 years. He did it here. Like, you bring up one example. But like, for those quarterbacks you just mentioned, the three, as far as let me try to phrase this. The NFL throws, right? You're talking about how the windows are different at the NFL level.
Yeah.
Those anticipatory throws, I didn't really see too many from Caleb and Jaden. I saw them from Drake because I just think in their offense, they didn't have to. The LSU offense was designed in a way where he didn't have to. And that's not on him. It's just kind of the reality. And Caleb's offense was somewhat similar in that regard.
I do agree with that. Yeah. And with Caleb too, he was running around so much. Like one of the more impressive things about Caleb Williams, while he did keep the offense at USC in structure when he had to, he was just so good at extending the play. Whereas Jaden had so much talent on that offense, and his accuracy and his ability to hit those deep throws up to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., he thrived in that situation. Whereas Drake May was ripping these footballs layering them over the linebacker and in between the safety consistently.
And middle of the field. That's
in the middle of the
field. Middle of the field is more example, I think,
but also
where window might be in the NFL. Sorry.
Yeah, but also ripping throws from the far hash outside. Not as much in college, because the hashes in college are so much wider, but from the wide side of the field, at least. Like, that was something that we saw a lot from Drake May. I still got to get to the tape of Ward, Shedeur, and some of these other quarterbacks, and we'll talk about that. But there are going to be quarterbacks, and I don't know how interested Giant fans are in these players, but there are going to be quarterbacks who will be available on free agency. It's just, how much do you pay him? And a guy like Sam Darnold might make bank, and I don't think the Giants are in a position maybe to make that type of investment in Sam Darnold, who's in a great system right now with Justin Jefferson and KOC and everything that they have going on up there in Minnesota. But that is a player who, even at USC, if you go back, and this is something we discussed during the offseason, I believe this offseason, regarding Caleb Williams and some of the past USC quarterbacks, Sam Darnold was a quarterback, Dan, who did make really high-level throws at the college level too.
Right.
And now it's manifesting in the NFL because he doesn't have shit infrastructure around him like he did with the New York Jets. It's just, do you make that investment? I don't know. But regardless of that debate, I agree with your overall thesis. The Giants need to identify and locate this anticipatory passer. But you can find just these veteran quarterbacks who could step into games and make anticipatory throws when it's something that has just been absolutely bereft of the New York Giants this entire season, right? Like, this freaking TB12 comes in here, Tim Boyle 12 comes in here and just rips it on like his third pass. And I ran it before, and we'll go over some of these plays and briefly talk about why it was successful. But you didn't see that with any of these other three quarterbacks. And I think Locke just doesn't really trust what he's seeing,
Right.
and just being a slow processor hinders your ability to throw with anticipation. DeVito, too, this is an undrafted kid. There's a lot being thrown on his play. I think he has a quick release. When he confirms pre to post, he can make those throws, but it's still wildly inconsistent. And with Jones was always a very reluctant quarterback when it came to throwing with anticipation. He always wanted to see it before he pulled the trigger. And as we already mentioned, Dan, windows in the NFL are so freaking tight that you need to anticipate it before you throw it. If you want to see it and confirm it, you're going to be a bit late, and you need everything to go your way. You need that defender to not get a beat on the football to close that window. You need so many variables to go in the direction of the offense. Even though the NFL is wildly, the pendulum has swung so much to the offensive side, you also need those defenders to just not time it up perfectly to get into the catch point and knock the football away. So you need a lot of stuff to go for you. If you have anticipatory passing skills, you don't need as much to go for you because your quarterback is bailing your offense out.
Exactly right. And that's the crux of it. Now, I'll say this. I don't know exactly how many of these college offenses from what I've seen will be able to kind of gauge that, but we're going to try. We're going to try our best. And I think in this game specifically, as Nick's about to break down in this play, and I don't know if you're at the plays yet, Nick, but looks like you are, you'll see some of a little bit of what we're discussing.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to start with the Tim Boyle plays. And this one was called back because Malik Neighbors never got set. But still, far hash throw we're talking about. The Giants did a solid job. Well, the Ravens did an excellent job using condensed formations to just absolutely take advantage of the defense. We'll go over that a little bit later. But here you see them motion Malik Neighbors. They see the shift, and then they motion him back out. Go into the mesh point. Tim Boyle hits that back foot, which you can't really see. But look at this defense. You have two routes outside that far hash. So you're going to have that deep defender. He's going to have to sink deep to get underneath the possible corner route. Look at where Kyle Hamilton is. He is inside the top of the numbers. So Malik Neighbors has so much space to the sideline. Tim Boyle recognizes this and just rips a pass over Kyle Hamilton. And that's a beautifully placed ball. That is a beautiful throw from Tim Boyle. It is on time. It is in rhythm, and it takes advantage of the defensive structure that is employed by the Baltimore Ravens. So this is a great play design, a great play call, and amazing execution, other than the fact that Malik Neighbors never got set and it was called back for a legal shift.
And we can't see exactly from this where when he started his windup because he's out of the frame, Tim Boyle. But you could just see based on what you see in on the third level with Neighbors and where he's aligned. Like he threw this clearly before he was open, right? He didn't have to wait to see it. And these are just, we didn't see this a lot. We haven't seen this in 6 years, really, outside of one or two or three examples. So it just shows like this, how much you can make something out of nothing. This is something out of nothing, Nick, because we've seen so many times, especially last week's tape, where receivers were way more open than that and didn't get the ball.
And here's the throw that was really indicative of anticipation. Catches the snap, hits the back foot. He starts releasing this football before Tim Boyle starts releasing this football before Malik Neighbors even clears. I believe that's Wiggins. It's not Humphrey. The football's already out.
Right.
And Wiggins turns his back, looks to see where the underneath route is because it's cover two. Malik Neighbors makes that catch right before the safety can even hit him. That's just a beautifully executed play by Boyle. Look, you see the rotation, right? Rotation. Okay, rotation to cover two, confirm, rip it into the hole. Boom. That's amazing. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, holy shit. At first, I thought he was throwing an interception, right? But I didn't see the safeties, right? Because I'm watching on the broadcast film. And when you see these safeties, he just trusted the defense, trusted what he saw, and trusted that Malik Neighbors was going to be there. And a lot of passing is just trusting. And sometimes it does result in interceptions because you're wrong with what you see. But sometimes you need to have the gumption to at least attempt it, especially when you're down like 34-7 at this point.
And roll that back real quick. Just another good example of like the whole debate. Like, the only way to get passing, you can't get passing game going with no O-line. Can't get a passing game with no O-line. Well, this didn't require an O-line. This didn't require pass protection. If you're good enough to throw with anticipation on a consistent basis, you can negate your O-line. It's something I've been saying on this podcast for 6 straight years of Daniel Jones. And it's obvious here on this play. Like, you can talk about so many games in the past that we've seen in the Giants, not just Daniel Jones, DeVito, whoever's at the start, where we're like, you know what, they never had a chance. The O-line just collapsed. We just saw so many plays of them taking sacks. A lot of that is because the quarterback just can't be decisive, can't figure out where to go with the ball, and can't pull the damn trigger. And when they can, it makes a massive difference.
Of course. And that's Brandon Stevens, not Nate Wiggins. I apologize.
And that's on them. That's on the quarterbacks.
Good throw. And now we have one more Timmy B's throw here. This is the one to Wan'Dale Robinson up the sideline. Little out and up. Release the football. DB ends up falling down, which is a big reason why this was successful. Good route by Wan'Dale, but the football is coming out right when Wan'Dale gets upfield.
Yeah.
The hips get all tangled up at 29. Oh, yeah. And he puts it. Hits that outside shoulder. The safety is just a bit late to get there, or Nate Wiggins is just a bit late to get there because he was on the Malik Neighbors post. And the Giants did a solid job. I might have actually some of the plays we'll go over here from Tommy DeVito, using these double moves up the sideline to create explosive plays. And I don't think the Daniel Bellinger first play was an explosive play. I think I do have that in here. I think that was like an 18-yard catch, but that was another well-designed play to free up Daniel Bellinger down the field. Here first, I included the Tommy DeVito. This is the first third down for the New York Giants. Look, Tommy DeVito, you have Tyrone Tracy Jr. open underneath the release of Daniel Bellinger, and he just threw it way too high for Tyrone Tracy Jr. One thing, too, I wanted to bring up, which I hate to bring up, but it's true. Tyrone Tracy Jr., for a former wide receiver, is kind of got brick hands right now. Like, he needs to reclaim and refine and rediscover his ability to catch the football because he has a little bit too many drops. Now, Tyrone Tracy Jr. is one of the last people that you should chastise with the New York Giants organization right now because he has performed well above the value of a 5th-round pick. But catch the damn football, bro.
Yeah.
Catch the damn football.
If he wants to be a complete back that really turns into a home run draft pick, then he has to be better with his hands. And I won't say, there's other issues in his game that people have said the fumbles. I think that's fair. So that can be fixed. I like it pretty much. I was thinking like everything else, like in the pass game, his pass protection is already probably way ahead of where it should be as a rookie, way ahead of where Barkley was as a rookie, for example, just to use a comparison.
He had a great one against Roquan Smith in this game.
Yep. So you put that one up on Twitter. It was a nice one.
Yeah, this is just a bad throw, though, by Tommy DeVito. Throws it to the outside and high from the far hash. Just can't have that, man. I think Tommy DeVito usually starts these games a little iffy, and then he kind of settles in a little bit from his long tenured track record. Here's a 12-yard rush by Tyrone Tracy Jr. I just liked how he was able to hit this hole, how he put his foot in the ground, read the blocks, saw the double team by JMS and Aaron Stinney, saw 44, stepped down on the line of scrimmage, put his foot in the ground, and exploded. Read the blocks.
Great play by Tracy.
Perfect
absolutely. Vision.
Great vision, and he understood where Greg Van Roten, his backside guard, was, right? Like Greg Van Roten does an excellent job getting to Roquan Smith here. And then look at right when he puts his foot in the ground, you can see how all those blocks are going to wash down and create the hole to allow this 12-yard gain. And then it's the burst and the acceleration through the hole to avoid Kyle Hamilton right there at that moment. So that's a great play by Tyrone Tracy.
Great run.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Here we have just a nice deep, I think 14-yard gain from Tommy DeVito to Malik Neighbors. Great route to turn around Marlon Humphrey, one of the better.
This was a great route by Neighbors. I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I mean, this is a pretty clean pocket. This to me is not a great throw from Tommy DeVito. The receiver has to extend away from frame to catch it, and it's from a perfectly clean pocket. Like,
I'm not going to knock DeVito for this.
Yeah, I will. I'm fine with it. It's too easy of a throw to me to put it high. It's just not like you don't offer much else. It's not for me. I don't need that. I don't need the receiver extending. Like just put that on the money. It's such a simple throw. It's fine. It just is what it is to me when this guy's the quarterback.
Here's the play I was referencing before. And the Giants, man, if you notice too, they used a decent, I didn't chart the plays in this game, but they used a decent amount of pony personnel. And when they were using pony personnel, they were able to design a lot of plays to draw the Ravens defense towards the line of scrimmage, because we all know the Giants have basically an average depth of target or their yards per attempt of like 5 yards. So everybody comes down close to the line of scrimmage. And you can see when you have two running backs back there, you can get the Ravens to bite close, fake the block, fake the stalk from Daniel Bellinger, and then run him and replace it the deep third where Malik Neighbors just vacated. And Tommy DeVito delivers a good pass to Daniel Bellinger on this one. Allows him to catch it, get hit, get down, first down. Nice, well-designed play from Brian Dable and the Giants. This episode is brought to you by Skims. Get your hands on the best underwear in the land. Look, I'm sure, gentlemen, you're a lot like me. You don't want your fit to be too compact, nor do you want to be swinging around like you're trying to destroy a piñata. You want everything in place. Comfort on a cloud with no ride-up. That is the ideal situation, and Skims provides that situation for us, gentlemen. They sent me a few pairs. I wear them to work. I wear them while I'm working out, and they are exactly what I'm looking for in my underwear. And Christmas is right around the corner. So grab a pair of Skims for someone in your life. Maybe that someone is you, and you want that comfortable underwear for your whole situation down there. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com. That's SKIMS.com. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show, Big Blue Banter, in the drop down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. So visit skims.com to check that out and maximize your draw's comfortability. Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. Every man knows the unbeatable feeling of a fresh barbershop shave. Now, what if I told you that you no longer have to wait weeks or even months between appointments to experience it? Introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of professional shave right into your home. Whether you're after that daily silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver is your go-to for precision and style every time. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using code BIGBLUE for 20% off. Gentlemen, this has changed the grooming game for me, and I highly recommend it for you. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BIGBLUE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code BIGBLUE at manscaped.com.
This is a good example, Nick, that you broke down of like when Dable's offense is working and when it's clicking from a timing standpoint.
Yeah, it's solid. Good protection up front. How'd you feel about the protection overall in this game? Because you're going up against a Ravens team. They got some heavy hitters, but it wasn't like terrible, especially given the game script.
I didn't think it was that bad at all. I mean, part of it was negated by Boyle, like getting rid of the football fast with anticipation. Like some of those plays you already showed were pretty much pressures on the quarterback. He's about to get clobbered and Boyle just gets the ball out. So I don't know how much of it was on the quarterback and how much of it was on the protection.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. Here's the 4th and 2 play. You got a 3-by-1 nub. You use Wan'Dale Robinson. It's just going to run underneath the release of the number 1 and the number 2, clear out, get leverage. Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton. Once Tommy DeVito and the Giants identified this coverage, because it looks like an edge rusher to the inside. You see Wan'Dale Robinson has a clear path to the outside. Kyle Hamilton is 10 yards off of him. Roquan Smith is inside of him, just inside of the hash, where you have Wan'Dale about 2 yards outside of the hash. So you have a spatial advantage. And when you can identify that pre-snap and there's no switch coverage or anything crazy, this is easy money, right? So the Giants just catch it. Wan'Dale runs away from 53, does not stick with Wan'Dale Robinson. He goes into the rush. So then it's just on Wan'Dale to get his head around and Tommy to deliver it. And it just gets there before Kyle Hamilton can work through the trash. Well-designed play again, picks up the first down.
Yep, well said.
We'll watch it from the end zone angle. Tommy DeVito delivers the football a little bit to the inside. Almost got knocked down. Could have been a little bit more outside. Granted, your catch radius is not the largest for Wan'Dale. And here is the play that we already went over from Tim Boyle. We're going to watch it again because we don't see a lot of far hash rippers like this. Boom. Good job, Timmy Boyle. Absolutely love it. All right, those are all the offensive plays. I do have some defensive plays for later, but a lot of them are just run plays I think that we can acknowledge while we talk about the offense or the defense. But we should actually talk about Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't know if you heard some of his post game, but I have it here in the doc. He somewhat challenged his teammates and insinuated and wasn't very tacit about his insinuation that not everybody might love football on the New York Giants. Did you see that?
I did see that. I don't. Here's the exact quote for those who missed it. Wan'Dale said, "Who really loves football? That's really one. That's the biggest thing for sure for me. You see who shows up each and every day to come to work. At the end of the day, even though the season is somewhat over for playoffs, guys are still fighting for spots and jobs. I know I'm going to play in this league for a long time. I don't really ever want to have a real job in my life. This is what I'm going to do and go hard at it. I would say it's more disappointing. Like I said, we're all grown men, and you've got a choice each and every day to come in and do what you've got to do or not. These are jobs. These are real life jobs. There are plenty of people out there that would love a job that we all have. So I can't feel sorry for anybody. He said, I still have plenty of love for Dabes and Joe, which isn't surprising considering they made him like the 44th overall pick in the draft. And if they signed this offense, that's, in some ways catered to him. But yeah, it's interesting about the other stuff. Look, one of these seasons, man. Yeah, but he's right. Like everybody should be taking it as seriously as he does, right? Like it's for their jobs, for their long-term security.
100%, dude. You're a
Yeah.
professional. It's like that in any job, right?
Any job, yeah.
You're a professional. It's funny, man. And I'm just gonna run through some defensive plays for the YouTube audience. A lot of them are
Mhm.
just running plays because I want to not showcase, but I do want to show at least how the Giants were able to slow down Derrick Henry. Because I don't know about you guys, I thought Derrick Henry was going to go off, and I thought it was going to be like a 200-yard performance for Derrick Henry. So I have a couple of the touchdowns I included, and then a bunch of the Derrick Henry relatively stops. One of them was like an 8 or 9 yard gain, just to see how the Giants were playing them defensively. Because to me, Shane Bowen was attempting to just try so many different things in the second half, but they couldn't really do anything. They're not talented enough. You have Art Green and Greg Stroman Jr. and Casey Rogers and Elijah Garcia and Corey Durden out there absorbing like 20, 25 plus snaps. It's like, what are you going to do with that type of defensive personnel package? And even some of the players that you expect to see something from, you're not really seeing all that much from. If your name's not Micah McFadden or Brian Burns, who else is really having an impact on this defense, Dan?
Well, it's sad that you didn't mention, and you're right to not have mentioned him,
Yeah.
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah. I don't
I
think
mean,
he's like, again, like Kayvon, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Kayvon, this isn't like he wasn't terrible in this game, but this game is a good microcosm of his career where it's like, he made a play there, he made a play here, but he's not taking the game over. He's not playing like a 5th overall pick. I don't even know if in this game he played like an above average player, which I believe he is. I do think he's an above average player, but still, when you talk about his worth, you can get an above average player in many other rounds of the draft, not 5th overall. You're looking for a franchise changing type of face of the franchise player. And through almost 3 years now, Kayvon Thibodeau is just not that. I'm sorry.
Right. Correct.
It's sad. It stinks, man. It does. But it's the sad reality of the New York Giants at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hopefully, he can perform better next year. I don't know what else to say about that at this point.
Yeah. And this defensive film, it was tough, Dan. It was tough.
Because, yeah. The dam broke.
the dam broke, and I felt like the Ravens just were phenomenal. Anytime the Giants wanted to run cover 3, the Ravens had an answer for it. They would throw the flat. They would put the curl flat defender into conflict. They would hit the seam. If they went into quarters, they would isolate the inner receiver against the safety and then hit a corner route off of Poco. There were 2 touchdowns like that. One of them was a flood concept where Dane Belton thought he had inside help on that second Rashad Bateman touchdown. Dane Belton did not have that inside help because the corner, I'm not sure who it was. It was either Green or Stroman, I believe. They were occupied with an underneath route. So Dane Belton, it ends up looking terrible for Dane Belton, who did not have a great game. And maybe Dane Belton should have shaded to the inside, but the way he was shaded, at least somebody outside of him, which there was not. And then he was caught scrambling, and it was a great throw by Lamar Jackson. Like, Lamar went off for 5 touchdowns in this freaking game, Dan. And the Giants just had absolutely no answer. Ravens were doing whatever the hell they wanted through the passing game. And that's going to happen when by far and away your best player in the secondary is Adoree Jackson, a guy that the Giants signed. And it was kind of like mocked by some in the fan base, like, oh, Adoree Jackson's back. Okay, like whatever. I'm not gonna lie, Adoree's playing solid football, like for the Giants. Yeah. He's a top 3 defensive player on the New York Giants right now, Adoree Jackson, which it's not necessarily saying, oh, Adoree Jackson's great, like good for Adoree, but the Giants defense sucks right now, man. It's bad, dude. 41's out there running his ass off, and I respect everything that he is attempting to do at this point. I think some of these guys, like Elijah Chapman, I like the pep in his step. I think he plays with a lot of hustle. I think he's shown a little bit more as a run defender, but he's still this guy who should only be earning like 12 snaps a game. And he's out there for what, like 30 plus? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's just a bad situation overall, man. Obviously.
Yeah, I can't argue with any of that, sadly.
Yeah, just no answers for cover 3 or quarters. And then in the second half, the Giants tried blitzing a little bit, and it led to that Justice Hill broken touchdown where 2 guys, Darius Muasau, and I don't remember exactly who the other one was, ended up going with the flat route on the other side of the field, and no one took Justice Hill. And if Lamar Jackson didn't want to throw a touchdown pass, I think you're watching it right now, right? If Lamar Jackson didn't want to, here, we'll just go over this. Didn't want to throw a touchdown pass to Justice Hill, he could have found a second one to Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Because Jason Pinnock takes a step down there. Mark Andrews wide open. The football's already out. You have 2 guys up at the top of the screen on Isaiah Likely, and nobody.
I love Andrews' reaction to this. Such a wide receiver. Just like immediately when he gets by, I'll hand up, and then no, hand on the helmet, like you screwed up. And it's like, no, actually, the Giants screwed up here.
Yeah. I don't know if I included that play, but that play was we'll see. We'll see in a second here. We'll go over this first play though. This is the the one touchdown to Rashad Bateman that I was just referencing with Dane Belton. Look, maybe Dane Belton should have been more outside that hash, but you can see 35, his hips are squared inward. It looks like his eyes are going to Lamar Jackson to sink underneath any kind of corner route. That's the position that he's in. He just doesn't sink. And Micah McFadden is on the numbers. Micah McFadden, if 35 doesn't sink, is going to be 2v1 if Zay Flower keeps his route going, but that's a much better situation than not sinking underneath the corner route, you know? So this is just a blown coverage possibly by the Giants and a great throw by Lamar Jackson to hit Rashad Bateman on that play. We'll see it from this angle as well, man. Just to see our quarterback, a Giants quarterback, make plays like this. Picks up the stunt. Look at that. Ball's just right where it needs to be. I think we saw Brandon London there. Was that Brandon over there in the red jacket?
Can't tell.
I can't tell. I always see him on the sidelines looking fly when I'm at the games. I didn't go to this game, though, because I didn't have to. Here's the Justice Hill touchdown that we just went over. Just nobody even in the area code of Justice Hill. Luckily, my computer doesn't want to see it either. I think that's the video more so than my computer right now. Now, the rest of these plays are just run stops by the Giants. You can see some of the creative things they were doing and how they were trying to sell out and send blitzes and really taking on these lead blockers, because the Ravens just have such a diverse rushing attack, such a downhill, run the football down your throat type of attack. And they didn't really do it in this game, but it is something that I respect about that team. Especially at 12 and 22. Oh, man, Derrick Henry is such a bruiser. I'm going to try to find, though, as we talk a little bit more, I'm going to try to find that Mark Andrews touchdown, because that was creative. Mark Andrews acted as if he was going to throw a pick on the inside defender, and Jason Pinnock flowed over the top of him to go on the underneath route of Isaiah Likely, and then Mark Andrews just ran right into the soft spot, and Dane Belton also bit down on the Isaiah Likely underneath route. So it seems like somewhat miscommunication on the Giants' part. No one really fully understands maybe their assignment, which, I mean, how could you even blame Shane Bowen at this point? I mean, he's going to fall on the sword, but you have undrafted guys all throughout your second. These guys weren't in training camp with the Giants, right? These guys, some of these guys might not even have received many first-team snaps with the Giants, and you lose Dexter Lawrence. Like, who the leader of this defense right now is Brian Burns and Micah McFadden, right? And Kayvon, I guess, at this point. Kayvon, I mean, they
should be, yeah.
They lead the huddle, at least, Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. But Kayvon and Burns aren't setting the secondary, you know? Mm-hmm. That's not happening. That's probably Jason Pinnock. And Pinnock, I didn't feel like had a great game. Pinnock hasn't had a great season.
Yeah, it's been a progression for him.
It has been. But he has his head on his shoulder. You listen to him talk, you can tell he's like dialed in. He cares, and he seems like a very intelligent player. It's just, it hasn't all come together. And I don't know who exactly to hold account. Like, we're going to hold Shane Bowen accountable for the totality of the season, of course. But with these players, with all the moving parts, with the team being 2-11, and I'm not saying from an effort standpoint, I'm more so saying, like, how much has these moving parts affected the overall operation, and how much should we hold that against a leader in the secondary like a Jason Pinnock?
Sure. That's fair.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm more so asking.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's fair for you to say the opposite of that, which is like, we can't hold that as much against him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm with you. It's a bad state of affairs right now, man. I don't know who we're holding accountable for what. Jane, Dable, Bowen, like the actual players. But this product is obviously really bad.
Yeah, it's not great. And here's the Mark Andrews touchdown. It's just something fun. I wish we watched stuff like this again. But you're going to see him on the line of scrimmage. The Ravens do a good job when they use 12 personnel. They use them both in a stack right here. Lamar Jackson in shotgun. Giants were matching 12 for most of this game with a different type of look. We expected them to do that against the Saints. They were like 3-4. They were just beefed up. They were heavy. The Giants attempted to do that to slow down Derrick Henry, but they were also in these 2-5-4 looks where it was 5 linebackers out there, being Muasau, McFadden, Simmons, and then the 2 edge rushers who are considered linebackers when it comes to personnel groups. But here on this touchdown, you're going to see Mark Andrews right there on the inside. Watch him just sink his hips. Actually, he's going to set that pick. Jason Pinnock, totally square. It looks like Jason Pinnock's assignment is Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is setting that pick. Isaiah Likely is running into the middle of the field. But then Pinnock opens his hips to the inside, shades to the inside, acting as if Mark Andrews may not move or get vertical at all. And then once that happens, Mark Andrews just bends around and that throw is perfect. Dane Belton, you can see him. This is, quarters type of look. Dane Belton is going to get his eyes on Isaiah Likely. He's going to attach to that. Mark Andrews notices it. Lamar Jackson notices, throws a football. I'm just wondering what I said Jason Pinnock. I meant Isaiah Simmons. I'm just wondering, though, what Jason Pinnock is doing on this play. Jason Pinnock being the safety who is standing on that hash, because Mark Andrews is in that area. You have Zay Flowers run the corner route. He's being handled by Adoree Jackson. So what's Pinnock doing on that play? Did he just kind of get lost in the sauce? Was he anticipating an inside break from Zay Flowers? Because to me, Isaiah Simmons shading inside, maybe Isaiah Simmons is responsible for Mark Andrews, but Jason Pinnock probably has over the top in that area, right? Did he just not see it, I guess? Or was he like thinking that Justice Hill was going to go to the flat and Muasau had inside and did Pinnock have outside? But he's so far, he's by the goal line. So I just think it might just be another blown coverage by the secondary.
Yeah, it's crazy how we have these. Yeah.
Still a good play design, though. You can see the pocket, dude. Great pocket. Great pocket. Giants rush 4. McFadden rushes, and then he drops off to be a quarterback spy. Something the Giants were attempting to do in this game, but nothing was really slowing down Lamar Jackson in this game. He's like, oh, the one NFC team before 2024 that defeated me was the New York Giants. Well, I'm going to absolutely embarrass this hapless, lifeless freaking team. And embarrass he did.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even play the fourth quarter.
I know. It's crazy. We got to see, what is his name? Josh Johnson. Yeah. Josh Johnson. He was a Giant great, right? He's been on like every team, though.
Yeah. Josh Johnson. All right, Nick. Anything else on the offense? Anything on the offense and defense? I'm at a loss, man. I really am with this team.
I mean, there's always stuff to talk about. But it's bleak. It's bad. I think the Giants are more than likely going to turn the page on both of these guys. I'm still reluctant to say that ownership will turn the page on Shane, but I think if you turn the page on Dable, you should probably turn the page on Shane. And to me, I'm just thinking about this entire situation, Dan, and we could talk about this to end the show. This is more evergreen right now to what the Giants are going to do. With this regime having the first overall pick, do you actually want Joe Shane and Brian Dable to make what would definitely be a quarterback selection? Which a lot of us, I think we need a quarterback. Let's draft a quarterback. But I don't think that's the best process. And do you trust these two to be the ones to make that selection? I just think you rip the Band-Aid off and you bring in new people here, because this is bad, dude. This is like 1972, 1973 bad type of situation right now. The situation we find ourselves in. Holy shit. It was 2 years ago. The Giants went to the playoffs and Dable was the coach of the year, but that seems like an eternity at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is something we talked about a lot yesterday. The pitfall, I guess the risk of keeping these guys is that they're going to be incentivized to take a quarterback. It buys them more time, and that's not good. You need to be taking a quarterback because you believe in that quarterback, not because it's the best thing for you at this moment. With that said, they have to at some point take a chance on a quarterback, because I'm sure how they're looking at this. And, that pool just got even thinner today. Drew Aller is returning to college this year. He won't be in this draft class, so it's going to narrow. And Nussmeier made the announcement he's going to return a couple weeks ago. So it's really coming down to these two guys, Ward and Sanders. It seems like, at least. Maybe Ewers, I think he's in the mix too. God, I can't even imagine Quinn Ewers being discussed as like a first round type pick. So I don't know, Nick. I mean, originally, what did we say? We said we like these guys because we want them to take their quarterback and have a chance to mold their quarterback. I feel like as time has gone by, I've lost so much faith in Brian Dable as a QB whisperer. I haven't lost that much faith in him as a play designer. Like, I think you did a good job breaking it down today, Nick, and you did a good job breaking it down last week when you did your film review last week. Like, guys are still getting open. These route combinations are not bad at all. At times, they're really good. So that I have faith in Dable. Do I have faith in him being a quarterback whisperer because of Josh Allen? No, I don't, because I think that a lot of that is just Josh Allen. being who he is and working his ass off in the offseason with his quarterback trainer, whoever that may be. Is Dable with him day after day in the offseason working on his footwork? No. Is Dable with him working on his mechanics? No. So I don't want to just, it's the same thing goes with like the whole Bobby Johnson thing. Like, I don't want to prescribe all the offensive line issues last year to an offensive line coach when I don't know what the hell is actually going on there. No one does unless they're in a locker room and playing this position. So we don't know who was responsible for Josh Allen's development. If everyone just assumed it was Brian Dable, who knows? And so I don't know if I want to bank on that when we're factoring in what you said, which is the risk of letting these guys just be in the position where they're pretty much incentivized just to draft a quarterback no matter what, almost, it feels like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they would be. I highly doubt that. Now, if you bring in a new general manager and you have the first overall pick, you can
bears it. Yeah.
You have carte blanche to do whatever the hell you want.
You trade the pick.
And that's so much more enticing to me at this point with just starting fresh and starting clean. And I just don't know, Dan, if the Giants should continue or even can continue. I mean, they could, but what would that do? Like it's low right now. Giant fans, you got banners flying over the freaking stadium every week. We have a GoFundMe to fly banners over the stadium, pleading to John Mara to make a change. That's how low we are. That, you know how embarrassing that is as a franchise, as an organization. 31 other NFL owners are looking at John Mara and Steve Tisch right now and saying, like, that's what you guys are dealing with right now? Holy shit.
I just want them to get it right because I don't want this to happen again. I can't go through this again. This one's out of control. 2023 last year, whatever. It is what it is. Like, we knew what the issue was and we knew what the issues were. They didn't build O-line depth and the O-line collapsed. We got fooled by the quarterback and we knew he was really what he showed in the first 4 years. Then it's like this year, they just kind of went in like, we'll fix everything around the quarterback and let's see what happens, but we still don't have any depth. And then everything collapsed. The quarterback sucked. And then the rest of the team, which was good the first 5 weeks, it really was, honestly. They had a pass rush, they had an O-line, and they had some talent at the skill positions the first 5 weeks. Then everyone got injured and they have no depth. So it's the same story over and over again there. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what they will do or what they should do. I just know that all I care about, not the reaction. It's just, can we not have this happen to us again?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, though, the Giants get to play the Falcons on a short week. So could the Giants go down to Atlanta, Georgia and steal a victory next week?
I hope not. And I'm okay saying that on air. I am. I'm done with the days of it faking it. Every game they must lose. Yeah. I don't want them winning a single goddamn one of these games. I'll be pissed. I will actually be pissed at this point. I'll be rooting against the Giants for the first time in my life. I'm finally fine saying I'm not actively rooting. I'm not going to sit there, don't do this, throw a pick. But if the Giants win a game, I'll be pissed. And if the Giants lose a game like they did on that field goal, I'll admit it. I didn't want them to make that field goal the other week, and I don't want to make it this week either. I'm done with this shit. I'm done with meaningless wins.
You were embers with small flames, and I was gasoline.
Yeah, you knew what would come.
I was provoked.
Like it's like, then that it. That's like the extent of my blow up at this point. I'm just so done and dejected and sick of this shit, man.
Yeah, so am I. Turn the page to the draft. It's going to be fun.
But hopefully, they can figure out a way this offseason just to make them better. We have to start thinking about this, Nick, like taking baby steps to the point where we can have like an acceptable 2025 where me and you can watch tape and it's meaningful and they have like 7-8 type win season where they're like competitive in a lot of games and then like beat a 12-win team in week 15 to ruin their season. Like, that's the type of shit we need to start refocusing on looking for. And like, because I'll take that at this point. I just can't take this anymore. It's just undoable. It's unwatchable stuff. And it's just, I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for people who pay money to go to the games and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There should be some kind of give back, right?
Yeah. Like from
some kind of rebate.
How about a free medium Pepsi?
Yeah. That was where I was going.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to try to figure out what we can do. I know a lot of you have said start to do draft content. I just think the reality of that is that Nick and I have this massive process for evaluating prospects from a draft standpoint. And to start to do draft content would be like a 2-3 week process before we can even produce the first piece of content. But one thing we can do that I will work harder on, and it's tough because it's a busy time for me work season wise as well, but I'll work harder on trying to find somebody who will, like a draft expert, who will come on the podcast maybe this week or next. And Nick and I can just play the role of host and just both ask questions that we want to know and questions that you want to know and have them kind of tell us some things about what's coming in this draft. So I think that's all that's left. Like, I don't know. We're going to do some mailbags and stuff, but like, it's all going to be the same stuff. Brian, are they going to fire Shane? Are they going to fire Dable? So we're at a loss. I think for me, Nick, that's probably the most frustrating part of the season for me, like the lack of things to talk about at this stage of it. Like I've never seen this like this in my life. Between what we've been doing this pod for a long time, Nick, we have never lacked on content ideas. And I feel like this is the lowest by far it's been from that standpoint. So,
well, there are ideas that we could talk about. It's just, are people as interested in
we've
those
talked
ideas?
about them though already.
I think people really do want to hear about Elijah Garcia's 35-inch arms and how he was able to knock out
Well,
to make a tackle on Derrick Henry. It's really exciting stuff.
yeah. Yeah, that's, I guess we haven't unpacked Elijah Garcia enough yet.
Yeah, we did. I mean, dude, TB12, bro. Come on.
And Tim Boyle. But man, is what it is. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like button. Please comment if you can, and just do anything you can to help us grow and get out of this mess that we're in. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.